Hello friends, hope you all are doing good. As explained in the previous video, in this video we will be seeing about what is mantra, yantra and tantra. So let us see this with the help of an example from the life of Tulasidasar. So Tulasidasar, as usual, he was walking on the streets. A woman came in front of her and she bowed to Tulasidasar. Tulasidasar blessed her Saubhakyavadi Bhavatu, which means live with all the prosperity, among which being with a husband is also one of the prosperity. So she says, she replies to Tulasi Dasar, whatever that you have blessed me, it is not going to be possible because my husband is already dead. We are taking him to the cremation grounds. You can see him there, like that she is showing. But Tulasi Dasar said, it is never possible at all because like whatever the words that I have uttered, it has come from the pure space of consciousness, from the pure space of Rama consciousness. So it can never be a lie, it can never become impossible. So when he said that, to the surprise of everyone, the man who is dead and lying over that like whatever the thing they were taking to the commission, he just woke up as if he woke up from a sleep. So how this incident happened is because Tulasidasa doesn't use any specific words which is a mantra. From this pure space of consciousness, whatever the words he utters, he becomes the mantra, right? So, in Tamil, there is a literature called Tolkappiyam. In the definition for mantra is Niraimoli Mandar Aanayir Kilanda Maraimoli Aane Mandiram Enbar, which means when we are in the pure space of consciousness, whatever the words that we utter, it becomes the mantra. Then, whatever the things, acts we do, that is the tantra, and whatever the tools we use for the completion of that act, that becomes the yantra. In the similar way, whatever the things that we consider as mantra, let us take the Vedas as the mantras or Upanishads as the mantras or like some specific mantras. How do you think the mantra has originated? Do you think the person has sit and researched in a laboratory and checked like this phonetics is going to work much better, this is going to much better? No, nothing like that, because their consciousness was in the pure space of absolute oneness consciousness. From that space, whatever the things that were revealed to them, they just expressed it to the other people. Like Vedas, it is not written anywhere, so it is just passed on to the next generation to the pure space of consciousness. So whatever the mantra that has arisen, it ultimately arises from the person whose space of consciousness is ultimately pure. The same thing happened in the life of Abhirami Bhattar. The same thing happened in all the life of the 63 Nayanmars. Sorry, 63 Nayanmars. Like you can see, their entire life is filled with so many mantras, yantras and tantras. They have never formally gone anywhere to learn these mantras or tantras or yantras. Even there were few people who are from very lower caste, who are treated untouchable, who are never let inside temples, who are never taught any source of knowledge, but still, because of their pure space of consciousness, they were able to manifest all these things. They never had the intention to manifest any kind of power, but still, because of the pure space of consciousness, whatever the thing that they wanted, it always manifested and it became the mantra. And whatever the acts that they did, it always became the tantra and it helped people. And whatever the tools, let it be a vilva leaf, let it be like some water, let it be a vibhuti, like whatever it is, like even the smallest of the things, it has so much of power. Even the like even if you tie a sacred thread, whatever it is, it has so much of power to make it into a reality. So even in Tirumandiram it is told, Manamadu Semmayanal Mandiramadu Jepika Vendam. So if the mind, so what is mantra? Mantra means like what makes the mind more stable. So if the mind is already stable, there is no need for us to recite any kind of mantra. That is what is told in Tirumandiram. But if it is the other way around, the mind is not stable, but still you are using so much of mantra. Suppose let us assume the mantra works, but if your mind is not stable, then you might use the mantra for the wrong acts as well, right? If it is like a knife, if mantra is like a knife, you can use it to save the life of a person for doing a surgery, but you can use it to take the life of the person, to kill someone. The mantra is also like a double-edged sword, but it doesn't work like that. If the person's consciousness is not pure, so the whole point in chanting the mantra multiple times is because ultimately if you chant that much times, your mind becomes so much stable, it becomes so much peaceful, it becomes so much clear. Then once the mind becomes stable, after that, even if you don't recite the mantra, even if you recite some other words also, it is also a mantra. So this is the I do agree that there is a science of phonetics, there is a science of japa, like the japa becomes ajaba and you constantly, the japa keeps on going inside mind. Ultimately, everything works on the basic principle. The ultimate destination is the stability of the mind, reaching the pure source of consciousness, the oneness consciousness. So if you go the other way around, because like without going through the mantra to reach the pure space of consciousness, to reach the pure space of consciousness by through other ways also, it will ultimately work in the final time. So in Tamil it is told like each and every letter and each and every word is a mantra. If you utter a single letter for 1 lakh times, that letter becomes mantra. So in this way, if you utter all the letters, alphabets in a language for 1 lakh times, ultimately whatever the thing that you speak becomes mantra. This looks simple, this sounds simple, but once you are able to recite so much of times for all the letters, ultimately it is like a huge amount of time. If you have so much amount of focus for that much amount of time, ultimately what happens is you reach the pure source of consciousness. So so can we reach, so ultimately like mantra, you are reaching this pure source of consciousness, we can use it, right? Yes, definitely we can use it, but there are so much amount of misconceptions in these days, in these modern days, about the mantras, because like they say you have to get from this guru, you have to recite in this ways, like you have to do this much times, like why it is not working, why it is not working. There is so much amount of confusion. There is like it has become really tedious for us to reach that state through the mantra. So what is the easiest way for us to reach the pure source of consciousness? In my personal opinion, bhakti, pure devotion is the only source, is the best way. I would say it is the best, rather the best way for you to reach that pure source of consciousness. So instead of wasting our time on learning all this mantra, yantra, tantrics, vidya, like people, so many educated people these days are turning towards all these tantric vidya and tantra. So like ultimately it is of no use. I'm clearly saying ultimately it is of no use if your mind is not reaching the pure source of consciousness. Rather, you try to reach the pure source of consciousness in other ways. Tantra, as you speak, like whatever the people are teaching, it is not really easy, right? Do you think any tantra is taught in an easier way? I will teach you tantra in much more easier way. You reach the pure source of consciousness in some way or the other. Whatever the act you will be doing is tantra. Like whatever the thing you touch will become gold. So I hope this video is useful in some way. If you have any doubts, you can leave it in comments. If you have your own comments, if you have your own suggestions, please do leave it in comments. I would like to read that. If you would like to hear some other topics, please do leave that in comments as well. So I would like to see you in one another video like this. Until then, it's Dr. Aravind signing off. Om Shakti.